But right now, I want to welcome to the program our friend Kimberly Corban, self-defense advocate, rape survivor. Kim, thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
Good. Just getting ready for Christmas.
I know it's creeping up. I've got a calendar right here in front of me. And I'm like, really? Is it really like already December 19th? That is crazy. And I have so much Christmas shopping to do still.
Yeah, the kids keep a countdown, how many sleeps till Santa comes. And for Mike and I, it's like, okay, here's how much we have left in shopping days.
Right? Well, at least they won't let you forget. That's good. Listen, I really do appreciate you coming on the program. I thought Stephen Gutowski is a great writer for the Washington Free Beacon, but this piece in particular, where Stephen spoke with you, Dana Lash, Jen Jake, Stacey Washington, each and every one of you, very different people, very different backgrounds, but there's a commonality, right? I mean, you are all self-defense and Second Amendment advocates, and you are all subject to some of the worst behavior online that I've seen, honestly.
Yeah, it's very sad to see it all laid out there in one article. I mean, it's bad enough when I look at it and I think, okay, this is something that I'm sadly used to receiving. I'm used to reading things like this. I'm kind of subscribing to the don't read the comments way of life. But at the same time, to see that just comment after thread after a harassing message for not just me, but for basically any female Second Amendment advocate is really disheartening, just because we shouldn't have to put up with this. Where are the feminists that are coming out in droves in our defense? I mean, really, it's up to us to kind of band together and say, no, we're not going to stand for this. It's not okay.
Absolutely. And so, as you say, I mean, on the one hand, like, there are things you can do to minimize, seeing this sort of stuff. But A, it's really hard to escape it entirely unless you're just not on social media, which is kind of what they want, I think, right? Is to drive you away, to silence you, to make you say, you know what, it's not worth it for me to speak up.
Right. And we've seen that work. There have been advocates that look at this and say, you know what, it's not worth having my life threatened, having my kids threatened. You're looking up personal information and trying to out you. That's not normal. That's not a behavior that we would have seen before the age of social media. And now it just makes it so much easier for people to anonymously type these things from behind a keyboard and to try and terrorize those who wish to use their voices to speak out with an opinion that may not go with the mainstream or may not fit into a perfect little box that they're used to digesting and having be part of what the female persona is supposed to look like. There are plenty of men and women out there, just like myself and the other three women that were interviewed for Stephen's article, and we won't be quiet. This is exactly why. If anything, they are making our point as to why we carry.
Absolutely. And to that end, I mean, that's the thing. It sounds like every one of you this has made you stronger. This has made you more sure of yourself and what you're doing, and made you more passionate about speaking up. As you say, it's had the opposite of its intended effect. I know that it's probably not going to stop the harassment that you all are facing, but these folks should know that you're not the type of person who's going to be silenced by this.
The reason that I have any kind of platform is because I wasn't silenced. It was my job to stand up after I was assaulted and say, this isn't okay. People need to find their voices. They need to feel encouraged to speak up and speak out against people like this. So when I see that come at me on social media, it's like, yeah, I know that kind of evil exists in the world. It's not new for me to experience that, but to be intimidated just for the fact that I want to carry a firearm and protect my family, that part is new. It's unfortunate, but again, it reinforces the fact that this is why we do what we do, because that's not going to stop. Any gun regulation that Congress wants to put in place or a state legislature wants to impose upon its citizens is not going to stop commentary like that. The only thing that's going to be any sort of backstop between us and those people, if they decide to act on those actions, is our ability to defend ourselves. And we take our own personal protection very safely, or very seriously.
Absolutely. And, Kim, look, I know that you've had the opportunity to travel around the country and speak, face to face with people, which I got to say, I think is highly preferable to engaging with anonymous trolls online. And I know that that's been a very different experience. So I'm curious. I mean, the some of the women that you've talked to around the country, who, because they've heard you, and maybe even it wasn't, maybe they were already speaking up, but you've now had a chance to meet them, and
Yeah.
they're now getting involved in this issue.
Yes.
Tell me what it's been like to have those conversations, and do you think that there are women who are seeing what you and Dana and Jen and Stacy and so many other women are going through, and finding the strength to say, what, I'm gonna be a part of that band of sisters. I'm gonna bring my voice to this, and you know what, together we'll be stronger.
Right. I mean, I'm under no false illusions that it's me that's changing these women's minds. I mean, I think that power and that strength lies within them. They might have already been there, but maybe hearing me speak out about something that typically we're told we're supposed to be quiet about gave them that just little extra push to say, no, it is okay. I can say this. I can stand up for what I believe in. Doing that in a face-to-face environment is so much more important to me than anything that I can say online. I mean, even on shows like this, I love being able to reach a group of people at once, but at the same time, that one-on-one interaction after my speeches, being able to talk to people just person to person really brings the humanity into this debate. I mean, when you look at the types of harassing messages that we were all receiving, it's like
Mhm.
there's not a person on the other end. And there are days that it's scary and it's sad and it can get very, very disheartening. But at the same time, that's why we have to push forward. That's why we have to keep speaking out, is because there are people like that on their bad days, they need other people to stand up and say that there is good in this. You are doing the right thing. Keep speaking out. So it's kind of, yeah, like you said, a sisterhood where we all have to pass that torch around. We all have to carry that light when some people can't. And it's, for me, always been about using my voice on behalf of people that can't, or at least helping them until they can find their own voice and exercise their own story and take advantage of all of the things that this country has given them as a right.
Talking again with Kimberly Corban. I've got to ask again. I mean, have you ever had a troll in person? Has this always been these sort of online examples of harassment? Has anybody ever shown up at a speech and tried to shout you down or things like that?
Yeah, it's happened. I never draw attention to it. I never promote it. I'm not a provocateur. In case you didn't already gather that, I'm not the person that goes to campuses and tries to drum up arguments. Because anybody that has seen me speak live knows that my message is meant to impact everyone, not
Mhm.
just some people that are in support of the Second Amendment, not if you're a conservative, not if you're a liberal. It's for everybody, and I don't want to turn people off. But at the same time, when people are engaging me in that way or trying to harass, intimidate, etc., that's not somebody that needs any more attention than they're already gathering. I do a pretty good job of keeping that under the radar. I don't publicize those kinds of things just because I don't want other people that are not at the same place that I am to feel intimidated, like they can't speak out, like they can't use their voice. And what we're seeing over this last year is that women are feeling more and more empowered to speak out and to share these stories that they've kept deep down inside of them for so long. And I want to continue
Mhm.
that. Yes, there is backlash and there are evil things that people are going to say in this world, but that does not make your story any less valid or less important. That's the message that I want to keep trying to share.
Kim Corbin, listen, anything we can do to help you and empower you in delivering that message, you let us know. All right.
Really just keep speaking out. If you know of campuses that want to host for the spring or summer, definitely send them towards my website. It's kimberlycorban.com. But I just thank you guys for being a place that continues to fight for our freedoms.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I've got two campuses just a couple of miles from where we do our show here. So I'm going to just, send a little email to some of these student groups, and maybe we can have you here in Farmville, speaking of Longwood University in the spring.
Yeah, put a bug in their ear. I'll actually be out there at the end of January, so I'd love to visit there.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, listen, Kim, thank you so much. Very Merry Christmas to you and yours, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
You too. Have a good one.
Thank you. Kim Corban is with us, again, self-defense advocate, Second Amendment advocate, rape survivor, and just an incredible woman.